Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a tutorial between Kyle Prime and NEXuk here on Desert Oasis. If you're looking for the shoutcast, go ahead and head over to the main StarCraft Legacy website and watch that first. I'm going to probably be spoiling a lot of the information as I really liked Kyle Prime's build on this particular map. We have Kyle spawning over here on the south side, meanwhile Nex spawning over here as the green Terran player on the north side of this map. Now, as I said earlier during the actual shoutcast, I believe that Protoss players are really going to start to use Phoenixes much more, especially against Terran. The Phoenix is such a strong unit against so much of the Terran mid-game. The Terran mid-game consisting of Banshees, consisting of Marauders, consisting of Siege Tanks, and really, essentially, the Phoenix is able to counter all three of those units. Thors are not really used that heavily against Protoss, just because Protoss has the Immortal, and the Immortal, it really does more damage, or is able to take down, you know, pound for pound, mineral for mineral, able to beat that Thor so easily. So without the Thor against Protoss, the Phoenix is able to just run rampant throughout the base. The Phoenix almost like a Mutalisk for the Zerg players, and really able to get a lot of scouting and able to take down very critical units, delay tech, as the Phoenix is able to pick up SCVs as they're building buildings. Now Kyle, realizing that surprise is going to be the factor in this particular game, and really he built his Stargate in a position that's difficult to find unless you do a scanner sweep on him. And usually when you scanner sweep, you wouldn't even scanner sweep over here in this location. You normally think to scanner sweep here. And when you scanner sweep here, because you're thinking that there's going to be tech buildings here and here a little bit more in the open, you're not going to see this Stargate with that chrono boost. And even if you do see it, you may think that it's going to be Void Rays. So you're going to try to produce Vikings. Phoenixes versus Vikings is a weird matchup in that even though the Viking does more damage towards heavy units and armored units, the Phoenix is a light unit, and the Phoenix has a faster rate of attack. So that Phoenix, once it's able to close that distance, and as long as it's not playing a range game against the Viking, should be able to take it down, especially considering that the Phoenix has, I believe, an additional 60 hit points essentially over the Viking. So now we're going to see the Cybernetics core come into play, and by the looks of this build is just a pretty standard Protoss build, nothing too out of the ordinary. A gateway, and after the gateway goes down, you build the Cybernetics core. Once the Cybernetics core is done, you're going to start training up one Stalker, getting a second gas. So really, as a Terran player is trying to scout this out, he's not going to really see what exactly that strategy is going to be. On the other hand, the Terran player NEXuk getting the factory, pretty much doing a standard Terran build. I believe he goes for a 1-1-1 with a barracks into a factory into a starport. And that really opens up into a very diverse gameplay for the Terran play. You also see that the pylons being placed over here. Pylons are being placed over here, and finally the Stargate from Kyle. This pylon is built here in order to make sure that there are no siege tanks coming in from this direction. Now, as you see, as the Stargate's being built, Stargate taking 60 units at a time, this SCV is still trying to figure out what exactly is going on inside NEXuk's base. Is he going for a 4-gate? Is he going for a 2-gate Robo Bay, 3-gate Twilight Council? As a Terran player, you really need to scout out your opponent. You really never want to be caught unprepared. Now, a little bit of a delay in that starport, and that delay in that starport may have cost him if he doesn't get that early Viking. As a Terran player, you really want to get at least one scan off into your opponent's base to figure out what your strategy is, even at the cost of a mule. Or you can try to send in a Reaper, as a lot of Terran players are doing lately, a non-early Reaper just to do some scouting. So in comes this Stargate, and now using that Chrono Boost to get that Phoenix. And it's important to note that you want to get at least 2 Phoenixes. One Phoenix on it by itself generally does nothing, because once you graviton beam a unit, there's nothing else that can really shoot it. The magic number is 3, just because the 3 Phoenixes are able to focus down those SCVs and those light units much more quickly, pick up SCVs as they're trying to build additional buildings, perhaps delay some tech, perhaps supply lock your opponent even further. NEXuk still has no idea what's happening, and this may be the only fault that Nex has in this whole entire game. He doesn't scanner sweep Protoss. and continues to produce more mules. And producing those more mules isn't going to really help him out that much. We already have 2 Phoenixes now moving out. And look what Kyle does with these Phoenixes. These Phoenixes moving out so quickly across the map that they're able to really just run around the map and figure out what exactly his strategy is. Using these Phoenixes, he can say, okay, I know he doesn't have an expansion, so I may have to deal with a little bit of an army sometime soon as well. So just leaving these Phoenixes over here is going to go ahead and come back with another sweep and quickly finds a barracks that's being built and takes down that SCV. So this barracks is now being delayed even further. So another SCV needs to come off the mineral line, and that barracks takes an additional 5, maybe 10 units of time to build. Now, these Phoenixes over here, once again, will perhaps find a couple SCVs being built, and now we have a 3rd Phoenix joining in on this fight. So 3 Phoenixes, you're going to see quickly going after that mule. That mule is essentially worth 200 minerals at that time, and then picking up another SCV to delay the engineering bay. So those Phoenixes just causing a lot of harassment for NEXuk, you know, production-wise. NEXuk really not getting as many SCVs as he needs, while Kyle continuing to just chrono boost further and further. Kyle also taking this time during this harassment to tech to the Templar archives. Because he's only been producing Phoenixes and essentially some Zealots, he doesn't have to worry that much. And now, with this Hellion harass, he's going to use these Phoenixes, Graviton beam them up, and these Phoenixes are dealing 20 damage per round of attack against those Hellions, so that those Hellions are really unable to do anything. So that Hellion would now be forced to pull back and head back home and try to regroup himself. And now NEXuk is gonna still trying to get a stronger economy going, and for some reason isn't producing continually producing SCVs. This is probably another one of the issues why NEXuk is so far behind economy-wise. Another Graviton beam picking up that Hellion once again and then moving away, as Kyle is also saturating his natural expansion as well. So 38 harvesters versus 23. You're going to start to see this large discrepancy. Kyle should be getting into the 1100 minerals per minute, while NEXuk is going to be sitting at the 600 for quite some time, as he's still not producing more and more SCVs. Needs to really try to saturate this mineral line even further. Now, another issue that NEXuk had was he did not get Stim Pack. The Stim Pack is really what's needed in order to combat these Phoenixes. These Phoenixes with that fast attack rate and moving around the map even further. I'm going to go ahead and Graviton beam one of those SCVs. Perhaps going to Graviton beam another one in just a moment. Yeah, going to Graviton beam another mule, making sure that that mule doesn't get any additional minerals. So Kyle just using this, you can take a look at the losses. The losses are not that heavy, only 500 resources in losses, but mentally, NEXuk is just in a better position, or NEXuk is just behind the 8 ball. He's just trying to figure out and try to deal with these Phoenixes, and he's producing more and more Marines. And as he's producing more and more Marines, Kyle knows this, and he's decided to use Templars in order to counteract those units. Going to go ahead and Graviton beam another Hellion there and activate a Xel'Naga Watchtower. So Kyle just now macroing up, getting up to a very, very strong economy, sitting at 1200 minerals, and now warping in some High Templars. Those High Templars do not have any additional, does not have that amulet yet, so without that amulet will not be able to side storm the instant that they come on out. Also, Kyle setting up a little bit of a proxy pylon here. I like this play by Kyle, even though it's not going to be successful, because he constantly keeps NEXuk on his toes. If Kyle instead put the pylon here, perhaps, he could have still been able to warp over across this bridge into this small location, and this pylon would not take up some crucial warp-in space. You can see as the Marine is able to spot these, that Kyle ends up losing a lot of these Zealots and this single High Templar over here. Now, stay tuned for part 2 of this tutorial between Kyle and NEXuk here on Desert Oasis. Once again, these tutorials are brought to you by LU Computers. Go ahead and visit lucomputers.com and click on the link on the top right hand side for StarCraft 2 ready computers. Yeah, I'll see you again, or you'll see me again in part 2 of this tutorial.